Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ogbanje Joseph. Please subscribe to this channel, share, like, as well as drop a comment on the comment section. So today we're going to be looking at the meaning of public policy. You know, we started a series on public policy analysis, and my last video I talked about policy. So today we're looking at public policy. Okay, before we now go to public policy analysis, but the domain at which we are looking at today is just public policy. So the concept of public policy presupposes that there is a domain of life which is not private or purely individual, but held in common. Okay, now it is important to understand the concept of public for discussion of public policy. We often use such terms as public interest, public sector, public health, and so on. Now, the starting point is that public policy has to do with those spheres which are so labeled as public, as opposed to spheres involving, the area of private. Now, the concept of public policy presupposes that there is an area of domain of life which is not private or purely individual, but held in common. Now, the public comprises the domain of human activity which is regarded as requiring governmental intervention or common action. Now, public policy has been variously defined by various scholars. Now, in majority of cases, differences in definitions are semantic than substantive. Now, according to Dye, 1976, okay, public policy is whatever government chooses to do or not to do. Okay, now Dimmock et al. 1983, defines public policy as deciding at any time or place what objectives and substantive measures should be chosen in order to deal with a particular problem. Chandler and Plano 1988 defines public policy as the strategic use of resources, to alleviate national problems or governmental concerns. Now, what about Freeman and Sherwood's 1968? Now, they look at public policy as public response to the interest in improving the human conditions. Now, in all these definitions, there is divergence between what government decides to do and what they actually do. Now, public policy is a guide which government has designed, for direction and practice in certain problem areas. There are several implications of this concept of public policy as relatively stable, purposive course of action, followed by government in dealing, with some problem or matter of concern. What are these, implications? Number one, the definitions, the definition above actually link policy, to purposive or goal-oriented action rather than to a random behavior or chance occurrence. Now, public policies in modern political systems do not, by and large, just happen. Public policies don't just happen. Okay, they are instead designed, to accomplish specific goals or product defined or product definite results, although these are not always achieved. The second implication of these, definitions is that policies consist of course or pattern of action taking over time by government, by governmental officials rather than their separate discrete decisions. The third implication is that public policies emerge in response to policy demand or those claims for action or inaction on some public, you understand, on some public what? On some public issues made by other actors, private citizens, group representatives, or legislators, and other public officers upon government officials and agencies. Okay. Now, in response to policy demand, public officials make decisions that give content and direction to public policy. Now, these decisions may enact statutes, okay, issue executive orders or edits, promulgate administrative rules, or make judicial interpretations of laws. Okay. Now, why do we even study public policy? Why should we talk about public policy? Now, most governments of developing countries are engaged in the monumentous task of kindling nation resurgence through socio-economic development. They are struggling hard to develop their economy, to sustain improvements in what? In social system, and to increase, okay, now, and to what? And to increase the capacity, okay, and to increase the capacity of their political system with a view to achieving the major objective of national development. Now, they seek to improve the relevant policies. It is therefore taken for granted that the studies of approaches, strategies, and concepts which will contribute towards this end are essential. Now, the study of public policy represents a powerful approach, for this purpose. Public policy is an important mechanism, for moving. So that is number one. The study of public policy, represents the fact that public policy is an important mechanism for moving a social system from the past to the future. That is number one. What is number two? Number two is that it helps to shape the future in other words, a study of public policy helps the development of professional advice about how to achieve particular goals. That's number two. Number three, public policy also can be studied, for political and administrative reasons, in order to ensure that governments select and adopt appropriate policy. That is the next point. The next point is that the study of public policy has much to offer to the development of administration in different sectors of the economy. It will enable the administration to engage in such issues as are of public importance and are concerned with the transformation of values into public policy making and demanding the meaningful action of public servants. Okay. Now, another point is that social scientists, especially political scientists, manifest concern with what government should do with appropriate public policy. Now, they contend that political science cannot be silent or impotent on current social and political problems, and that political scientists and academicians in public administration has a moral obligation to put forward particular policy on particular problem. They should advance the level of political knowledge and improve the quality of public policy in whatever ways they think best. Okay, notwithstanding the fact that substantial disagreement exists in society over what constitutes appropriate policies. Now, public policy improves. Okay, another point is that public policy improves the democratic and political capacities of people, and not simply the efficiency and effectiveness of delivery of goods and services. Now, what is the final importance of studying public policy. The final importance is that the field of public policy has assumed considerable improvement, or importance in response to the increasing complexity of the society. It is not only concerned with the description and explanation, of the causes and consequences of government activity, but also with the development of scientific knowledge about the forces shaping public policy. Now, the study of public policy helps, to understand the social ills and the subject under study. So, public policy, like I've always said, okay, is actually the policy that is directed at the public. Okay, because of course, any public any area of domain that is actually open to all, that is held in common, that everybody is actually a partaker of it, such a domain is actually a public domain. Okay, so any policy that is targeted at actually, benefiting the interest of the common people or of the society in general, such kind of policy is called public policy. And it is actually very important because it helps us to actually understand the statecraft and how government is actually responding to the yearnings and aspirations of the people. Thank you very much.